Alright guys, today we're going to be looking at parabolas. Parabolas are a graph of quadratic relations. So parabolas are graphs of quadratic relations. Alright. So basically what we're going to be looking at today is how the graph changes depending on what kind of variables that you add to the basic form of a y equals x squared graph. So the general shape of a y equals x squared graph looks like this. So as you can see, it passes through the origin and it makes a U shape. Now there are some things that we can do that are, I guess, can change it in a sense. So for example, if I was to graph y equals 2x squared and y equals x squared on the same graph, this is what you would see. So I'll put my y and x axis on. So they both, if I substitute x equals 0 into both of them, I will get a y value 0. So the origin point doesn't change. I'm going to find out what x is equal when x is equal to 1 and negative 1 for both graphs. Okay. So the first one, we're going to have 1 squared, which is 1. So the first one, the second point will be there. A negative 1 squared is also 1, so it would also be there. For 2x squared, so as I draw it, it would look something like this. Now, if I was to do 2x squared, when x is equal to 1, x will be 2 on both sides. So what you can see is that it's become narrower when I've put 2x squared. So this is y equals 2x squared. This is y equals x squared. So basically what we can say is, just bear with me, is when a in ax squared gets larger, the graph becomes narrower. If a is less than 1, then it gets wider. Alright. So when we manipulate the number in front of the x squared, or the coefficient of x squared, it changes how narrow and wide it is. Another thing we can do is graph y equals x negative x squared. Negative x squared is a reflection on the x-axis. In other words, if I was to compare the two, here's my yx squared. So this is y equals x squared. Y equals negative x would be exactly the same graph except upside down. So negative x squared. So what we can say is that when A is negative, it is reflected on the x-axis. Alright. So, things that they'll be asked you to find are whether it has a maximum or minimum, basically what this means is maximum means it's the highest possible value that it can get, and minimum is the lowest possible value you can get. Now if I look at an x squared graph, y equals x squared graph, what we actually notice, it doesn't have a maximum, it just keeps going up. But however, it does have the lowest point here. So this point where the graph turns, it's also called a turning point. We call this the minimum. Simply speaking, if the A is positive, so the value in front of x squared is positive, then you'll have a minimum. If the value is negative, then you'll have a maximum. So these are called turning points. Put simply, it's where the graph turns. And it can either be a maximum or a minimum. Now, what I would like you to do is plot y equals x squared, y equals x plus 4 squared, y equals x minus 3 squared, and y equals x squared plus 5. All on the same axis. So this is your task. And then comment on what happens. If you're not sure, please feel free to come and see me. I'm here to help. If you're not sure how to do it, then come and see me as well. Alright, good luck.